They took his wife thinking he was an easy target. They were wrong. Now, this monster won't stop until he crushes them all, one by one.
Where is she?
The story kicks off with a brutal interrogation. We see a man named Detective Patterson torturing a local criminal named Knuckles. Patterson is desperate, demanding to know the location of a kidnapped woman. Knuckles holds out as long as he can, but under the pressure, he drops a bombshell. She's dead. To understand how we got to this basement, we jump back 8 hours. We meet Will Spann, a successful businessman who is currently driving his wife, Lisa, to her parents' house. On the surface, they look like a normal couple, but the tension in the car is thick enough to cut with a knife. Lisa has been unfaithful, and though Will has forgiven her, the wound is still open. As they pull into a remote gas station, Will tries one last time to save the marriage, suggesting a getaway. But Lisa is cold. She's done. She wants a divorce. Will stays outside to fuel the car while Lisa heads into the station to grab some water. Through the window, we see Lisa finish her purchase. As she walks out, a mysterious man stops her. They share a brief, tense conversation that Will can't see from his side of the pump. A large truck pulls in, blocking Will's view entirely. Minutes pass. Then 10. Then 20. Will realizes Lisa never came back to the car. He storms into the station and confronts the cashier, Oscar. Oscar acts bored, claiming Lisa bought her water and walked out the door. He swears he didn't see anything else. Sensing something is horribly wrong, Will doesn't wait around. He calls 911 and is connected to Detective Patterson, who tells him to stay put and wait for the police. But Will isn't the type of man to sit still. He races to Lisa's parents' house, hoping she somehow hitched a ride there. When he arrives, the house is empty. Her parents are instantly suspicious. They know the marriage was failing and they immediately point the finger at Will. They think his missing wife story is just a cover for something much darker. Frustrated and alone, Will heads back to the gas station. He meets Detective Patterson on the scene, and they go inside to demand the security footage. This is where things get shady. Oscar, the cashier, suddenly claims the cameras have been broken for weeks. He claims he's been waiting on a mechanic, but Patterson knows a lie when he hears one. The cameras are dark, the witness is lying, and the police think the husband did it. Will Spann is officially on his own, and the clock is ticking. Detective Patterson heads to the station with Lisa's laptop and purse, hoping for a digital trail. But Will stays behind. His gut tells him the answer is still at that gas station. As he watches Oscar through the window, he notices something chilling. The broken security camera is blinking. It's recording. Will storms back inside, the polite businessman replaced by a desperate husband. He corners Oscar, who starts stammering through more excuses. Will doesn't have time for lies. He physically intimidates Oscar until the coward points to the hard drive. Will rips the entire unit out of the wall and marches it straight to the police station. The footage reveals the truth. Lisa walks out of the store and is approached by a man. They talk with a familiarity that suggests they've met before, but Will is adamant. He's never seen this guy in his life. Just as the conversation peaks, a massive truck pulls into the frame, blocking the view. When it moves, both Lisa and the mystery man are gone. Instead of chasing the man on camera, Patterson turns the heat on Will. He drags him into interrogation and starts picking apart their marriage. Were you happy? Did you want out? The implication is clear. The cops think Will hired a hitman or staged a kidnapping for insurance money. Will snaps. He mocks Patterson's theory and demands to know if he's under arrest. When Patterson says no, Will walks out. He's finished waiting for the law. He returns to Lisa's parents' house and shows them a still frame of the man from the video. The reaction is instant. They recognize him. His name is Knuckles, a local handyman who has done work for the family. Lisa's mother even recognizes his beat-up car and knows exactly where he hangs out. Will has his target. He calls Patterson, offering a professional apology for the outburst and tipping him off to the location. But Will isn't waiting for backup. He reaches the hideout, grabs a heavy tire iron from his trunk, and moves in. He finds Knuckles frantically packing his bags, ready to skip town. When Will demands to know where Lisa is, Knuckles plays dumb, trying to lure Will into a trap. He lunges at the city boy, thinking he's an easy target, but he severely underestimated a husband with nothing left to lose. Will rains down blows with a tire iron, demanding the same answer over and over. Where is my wife? In the heat of the fight, Knuckles cracks. He gasps out a name. Frank. He claims Frank is the mastermind behind the disappearance, but before he can say more, he lunges for a hidden gun. Will is faster. He tackles the convict, the weapon skidding across the floor as they trade blows. Will overpowers him, and with a gun finally in his hand, he forces a confession. Knuckles admits he knows exactly where Frank is holding Lisa. Will doesn't call it in. He doesn't trust the system. He ties Knuckles' hands with heavy-duty tape, tosses him into the trunk of his car like a piece of luggage, and peels out toward Frank's hideout. Back at the gas station, Detective Patterson arrives to find the place under new management. Oscar has vanished. The new cashier claims Oscar's shift simply ended, but Patterson isn't buying it. He puts out an APB on the shifty clerk, threatening to shut the entire station down if Oscar doesn't turn himself in. Meanwhile, Will's desperation is starting to show on the road. He's driving like a madman, catching the attention of a highway patrol officer. When the siren blares behind him, Will's heart sinks. He hisses a warning to the man in his trunk. "Make a sound, and we're both going down." The officer walks up, checking Will's ID and sensing the tension. But the moment the officer asks to see what's in the trunk, Will knows his mission is over if he complies. He doesn't think, he just bolts. He disappears into the dense tree line, leaving his car and his lead behind, becoming a fugitive in the jungle. Back at the station, Patterson digs into Lisa's digital life and finds a trail of emails to a man named Clint. He confronts Lisa's parents, thinking he's found the motive, a secret affair. But Lisa's mother shuts him down. She confirms the affair but insists Will knew nothing about it, and more importantly, she knows Will didn't hurt her. Patterson's team runs a sweep on Clint in Boston, but he's clean. No evidence, no involvement. The focus shifts back to the security footage. Lisa's father is furious, demanding they put Knuckles' face on every news channel in the state. Patterson refuses. In the video, it looks like she went with him willingly, he explains. Until we have proof of a struggle, we can't spark a media manhunt. But while the police are debating legalities and looking for willing departures, Will Spann is deep in the woods, hunted by the cops and running out of time to reach Frank. Lost in the dense woods and hunted by the police, Will's mission is hanging by a thread. He stops to catch his breath and realizes he still has a signal. The GPS coordinates Knuckles gave him are still active. He pushes forward on foot, emerging from the brush to find a heavily armed sentry guarding a trail. Will has to think fast. He plays it cool, claiming he's there to see Frank on business. The guard is suspicious, questioning why a city guy in a suit is wandering the jungle without a car. Will doesn't flinch. He tells the guard his car broke down and snaps, "If you don't want the money I'm bringing Frank, I'll just leave." The bluff works. The guard points him toward the heart of the camp. Will creeps forward and discovers a massive, hidden compound, a makeshift lab crawling with drug addicts and armed thugs. This isn't just a kidnapping, it's a professional operation. As he searches for Lisa, he spots a familiar face pulling up in a car. Oscar, the gas station clerk. The conspiracy is finally clear. The bored cashier was the scout for the whole kidnapping ring. Meanwhile, Detective Patterson catches a major break, but it's a messy one. His team finds Will's abandoned car with Knuckles still locked in the trunk. This is a disaster for the legal case. Will has technically committed kidnapping and assault, which could get the whole investigation thrown out. Patterson tries a different tactic. He leans on Knuckles, offering to drop all charges if he gives up Lisa's location. But Knuckles is a veteran criminal. He knows the good cop routine. He plays dumb, claiming he was just chatting with an old childhood friend at a gas station. Talking isn't a crime, he sneers. The truth, however, is much darker. A flashback reveals exactly how it went down. Knuckles approached Lisa with a lie, telling her he had a leftover invoice from fixing her parents' roof in his car. Being a kind person, Lisa followed him to the vehicle. The moment she reached the door, Knuckles didn't hand her a paper. He overpowered her and vanished before Will even finished pumping gas. Back at the compound, Will isn't waiting for a flashback. He's moving like a shadow. He ambushes a sleeping guard, knocking him cold and taking his weapon. Now armed with 2 guns and fueled by pure adrenaline, Will Spann is moving toward the main building. Will slips into the shadows of the main building, moving with a lethal calm. He corners a guard and silences him before he can raise the alarm. As he pushes deeper into the compound, he realizes he's walked into a death trap. The building is a massive, illegal drug lab, packed with volatile chemicals and explosive barrels. One stray spark, and the whole place goes sky high. Finally, Will comes face to face with the man at the top. Frank. Will levels his weapon, his voice trembling with a mix of rage and desperation. Where is my wife? Frank plays it cool, pretending he's never heard of Lisa. Will tries to negotiate, promising to walk away and leave the drug lab alone if he just gets her back. But Frank isn't interested in peace. He signals one of his men to open a nearby shipping container, but it's a setup. The thug pulls a hidden gun and opens fire. The lab erupts into a chaotic shootout. Will dives for cover behind the heavy steel container as bullets rip through the air, narrowly missing the explosive barrels. He knows he can't stay pinned down. He fires a blind volley for a distraction and maneuvers through the smoke. In the frantic exchange of gunfire, Will catches a glimpse of Frank and pulls the trigger. Silence falls. Will rushes over, only to find Frank lying dead. A wave of pure horror hits him. Frank was the only man who knew the truth. With the mastermind dead and the lab beginning to catch fire, Will falls to his knees. He thinks he's lost her forever. But the nightmare isn't over. Out of the smoke crawls Oscar, the gas station clerk, holding a gun on Will. Oscar is a rat looking for a payday. He claims he knows exactly where Lisa is, but he wants $20,000 to talk. Will is skeptical until Oscar pulls out Lisa's phone. It's the proof he needs. Will agrees to the deal, but he refuses to leave the camp without her. They get into a heated standoff, weapons drawn, but time finally runs out. The fire reaches the chemical stores, and a massive explosion rips through the building. The blast is instantaneous, consuming the lab and killing Oscar before he can say another word. While the drug lab burns, Detective Patterson is back at the station, hitting a wall with Knuckles. He turns up the heat, threatening the criminal with a life sentence if Lisa isn't found alive. Broken and terrified, Knuckles finally spills the dark truth. He and Frank had been planning to kidnap a wealthy target for a massive payday, and Lisa was their mark. But the plan spiraled out of control. When Frank realized Knuckles had been caught on the gas station CCTV, he panicked. He ordered Knuckles to dig a grave, intending to kill Lisa and then kill Knuckles to wipe away all the evidence. Knuckles realized he was being set up as the fall guy and bolted, right into the arms of a vengeful Will Spann. Patterson races to the smoldering ruins of the drug camp. The fire department is already on the scene, and amidst the chaos, he finds Will. The two men lock eyes. Patterson tells him they found Knuckles in his trunk, but instead of reaching for his handcuffs, the detective reaches for the truth. He leads Will toward the area where Knuckles said the grave was being dug. They rip the earth open, expecting the worst, but the grave is empty. Lisa isn't there. Suddenly, a faint sound drifts through the trees from a nearby, isolated shed. Will doesn't wait for the police. He sprints to the hut and kicks the door off its hinges. Inside, huddled in the corner, is Lisa. She's terrified but alive. The reunion is explosive, a husband's mission finally complete. Days later, Patterson visits Will at home. He explains that the official report is filed. Frank and his crew all died in the massive chemical fire. Patterson knows the truth. He knows the accidental fire was started by Will, and he knows exactly who pulled the trigger on the gunman. But he also knows that without Will's courage, Lisa would be in that grave. He chooses to let the hero keep his freedom. As Patterson leaves, the rain begins to fall. Lisa walks out to join Will, the coldness of their past marriage washed away by the trauma they survived. She doesn't want a divorce anymore, she wants her family. Will Spann didn't just save his wife, he saved his future. And that is the end of Last Seen Alive. Will Spann didn't just find his wife, he found the beast inside himself. Never underestimate a man with nothing left to lose. If you enjoyed this transformation, hit that like button and subscribe for more elite recaps. Thank you for watching.